Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Blunt Conversations, hosted by Blunt Brunch. This is our first restream where we are going to actually be live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So, for those that are tuning in from a variety of those different platforms, feel free to join the conversation. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Feel free to ask our guests questions or even just commentary on what we're going to be diving into today. Now, this episode is sponsored by Event High. Event High is the world's first cannabis ticketing platform. You can discover events, buy tickets and sponsorships, or create your own event and meet people with a shared interest. Visit eventhigh.io to learn more. Now, again, for those that are new here, Blunt Brunch is a women empowerment event series for women executives and professionals in cannabis. We have a variety of experiences, such as our socials in Phoenix, Tucson, Las Vegas, San Diego, and New Mexico, and our annual national event in Las Vegas. Now, at these events, we host what we call a blunt conversation, where we discuss topics that we may not be able to share with our team or male counterparts. As our community continues to grow, both in person, we wanted to bring these conversations online as well, so we can make our community even more accessible so that we can all continue to empower and grow together. Now, this month's topic is the importance of serving on boards and why giving back through board service is not only a good volunteer opportunity, but it's a great way to further develop leadership skills and network. So today we're going to hear from a colleague who is an amazing leader in this space. This week, I am honored to introduce you all to Margit Whitlock. Margit Whitlock, and I should have asked you this, Margit, before. It's Aileedap, is the principal in charge of architecture and interior design at Architectural Concepts, Inc., a San Diego-based design firm. Now, Miss Whitlock is responsible for creating the concepts that drive the creative process. Her professional experiences include all aspects of architecture, from design and the building process, including project programming, site analysis, interior design, custom FFE, construction documents, permit processing, and construction administration. She is also a licensed architect in the states of California, Arizona, New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, Florida, and Hawaii. To foster her passion about the built environment and her community, Margit is a board member and past president of SDAF, which is the San Diego Architectural Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. She is a member of the County of San Diego Cannabis Stakeholders Group, BEEP Volunteer, and Habitat for Humanity, and NEWH past board member. For the past 30 years, she has focused on commercial design and construction with projects nationally and internationally. Her project list includes hospitality, retail, restaurants, historic, and cannabis facilities. So with that being said, we are honored to have Margit join us today. And with that, let's bring her on stage. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Adelia, for having me.
We are so honored to have you here. And that background, you have some amazing insight. And even too, on the architectural side, obviously your main focus in business, I can just imagine all that you have designed and been a part of, and now even in cannabis. So we'll even chat a little bit about that today.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, before we go into this month's Blunt Conversation, you have paved the way by all your hard work and inspiration. What led you to joining the cannabis industry?
Our primary focus has been hospitality design. So hotels, spas, restaurants, clubs, retail, creative type spaces. And I really had a vision for how what we do translates very easily into the future of the cannabis industry with ecotourism, cannabis lounges, spas, dispensaries. So I got started really in 2018 processing a number of conditional use permits for about 8 different clients here in the city of San Diego. And right now we're finishing up our first dispensary. So we got the CUP and now we're doing the full architecture and interiors for dispensary. But everybody needs a building. So, you know, and so our job is to build environments. So I'm really pleased to be in this industry and have had 4 years of practice working in it and learning something every day.
Yeah. What has, I don't know if you can say, what has been your favorite build in the cannabis space specifically, or one that you found most unique, maybe?
Well, I think that the CUPs really are not that exciting. That's a governmental processing and entitlement. It's actually kind of a pain in the rear. So um, I'm really enjoying working with my client on the dispensary. This will be
Yeah.
his first dispensary. And so we're starting from scratch, from the branding concept
Okay.
through interior design, through architecture, merchandising. Like that whole process is super exciting to me to see it from beginning to end, as opposed to say having a prototype canned Jack in the Box, something coming down the line. That does never excites me that much, but custom design does.
Okay. Okay. So that kind of answers my next question, but let's dive into it more. Who is the best type of client for architectural concepts?
Um, Honestly, having a client that has vision and that operates from a level of integrity and purpose. It doesn't matter to me the level of experience you have in development, but if you come from a professional standpoint and you bring to the table your ideas, we can work through that process. I can lead anybody through the process. I have been in business over 30 years, so I've had over 1,000 projects in my suitcase. so, um, so yeah, so it's really more about, I think, the person, the client architect relationship. It gets emotional, it gets financial, it's process, it's timely, there's a lot to getting a building done, a lot.
Yeah. Well, and with your license too, so you could work with dispensary or now lounges, which are becoming very, very
Yeah.
popular, very needed in what was that, over 7 states, I believe?
I've now 8. I'm now licensed in South Carolina. Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Now, as we go into this one's topic, well, you also have some great experience volunteering on boards, and you even shared a fun fact of when you even started doing some volunteer work, which we can chat a little bit about as well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so as we dive into this one's topic, when did you begin volunteering for a board, and just can you share a little bit about that experience and what was the organization?
Sure. So the fun story is, when you're in third grade, you're learning about governance and politics,
Yep.
and you elect a president of your class, and you have a board, and you go through the process. Well, I was president of my third grade class, and I think being in leadership and being in governance was something that I really didn't know I had talent for. I have a talent for people and navigating problems and creating solutions. So that's kind of, that's architecture 101. So then I was president of my sophomore class, well, my freshman and sophomore class as well. Took a hiatus during college, and the minute I got out of school, I was recruited by the American Institute of Architects San Diego chapter to join and to lead a design awards committee. So I was
Wow.
on the board of AIA San Diego for maybe about 20 years, in and out of different positions. Never served as a president, but I did serve as a long range planning director, communications director, and the licensor. So when you get your license, we were licensee mentors. So, and then that kind of, after a while you get kind of like, oh, I might do something else. So then I became a board member of Habitat for Humanity, Network of Executive Women in Hospitality, and then I just recently stepped down from my board position with the San Diego Architecture Foundation after 12 years. But I'm still doing some special projects. So now I'm kind of focusing in on two things: BEEP, which is the Built Environment Education Program for Youth, and the World Design Capital 2024 that will be here celebrating design and architecture for San Diego and Tijuana. So got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, yeah, the work's not done.
They were done.
Why is it important that, we as professionals and business owners do take time to serve and volunteer on a board?
Well, giving back and being of service to your community is really rewarding. Uh, um, you have a voice and you can make a difference. And you meet like-minded people that have a common purpose, and in that network is quite strong, and it turns out to be very helpful in your personal and professional life. You learn to have colleagues and comrades you can lean on and call, and say, I've got an issue, because not everybody has the same um, career path on a board. You may have an attorney, an accountant, a designer, a legal person, or there's a whole bunch of people that make up a board, because you want to have a board well rounded. So then you almost have your own kind of little mini set of board of directors for yourself. But it's also kind of neat. Is where I'm at in my position now, being kind of like the old guard. I'm in a position to mentor a younger generation, and through all of my experience, and that's really fantastic.
That is amazing. And two, what you're saying is all that you give back to the community, but also everything that you've learned from volunteering throughout these years from that group of individuals too. I love that. That is so true. I've learned so much from my fellow board members on the organizations I'm a part of.
Mm-hmm.
What I also love though is that you and some that aren't familiar with serving on boards, it doesn't just have to be aligned with your career. As you stated, you also was part of the board for the Habit for Humanity, right?
Right, Habitat for Humanity.
For Humanity. So there's also opportunities on nonprofits that also maybe not be aligned with your career. Maybe it still did align with your career. I don't know what projects they had
Right.
at the time, but for others, it could just be something that you're aligned with passionately. That's not aligned with your career at all.
I know that on the San Diego Architecture Foundation, a number of our members are not in the built environment. They're
Really?
No, they're students or professors, or regular. I met a lady who was a shoe salesman at Nordstrom's, and she's just really interested in architecture somehow. Never, but she comes to all of our events.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
gets
See?
involved, and she meets people that are interesting and have some kind of commonality.
Yeah. It fuels her passion, whatever,
It,
even though
it does, and when you slowly grow an appreciation for different avenues. Got to get out of your circle. You got to like venture out a little bit, and so it's nice to be able to find other like-minded people, even though you don't do what they do.
yeah, so true, so true.
Mhm.
Now, for those who haven't served on a board but are interested in taking that next step, what advice would you give on them finding the right board for them?
I would volunteer at a committee level. I would really start at the grassroots. And most boards are made up of people who have already been involved in the board before. So they've been on a committee, they've served, they know how the board's working, how are you serving the mission. So it's all about the mission of that organization. So I suggest getting on a committee first and get involved, meet some people, and get a level of understanding of what the mission's about and how it's delivered. It may not align with you after all, or you may just have fun at committee level, because once you're on the board, you're going to have a bigger time commitment.
That's so true. That is true. Now, over the years, you have served on a variety of different boards, as you have shared with us. What are just some things that you have learned along the way?
Most boards are built along a common structure. There's really um, a regular set of dates and meetings. There's a fiduciary responsibility. There's the bylaws to maintain. There's governance within the board itself, and there's delivering the mission. But there's different kinds of boards. They don't all have the same kind of organization. They have structure might be different than, say, a governing board. Where a governing board is one where the organization, you don't sit as a member. Instead, the board is staffed by other people, and the governors of the board of directors are governors, right? Then there's a working board. That's what I've always been on, working boards, except for the Habitat for Humanity was more of a governing board, because they had a whole staff to take care of everything from event planning to
Wow.
we basically looked at all the projects and reviewed staff recommendations. So that's different than a working board, which is more or less a lot of volunteers and maybe no staff members. Everybody has a hat.
Yep.
And so everybody's working to get that organization mission completed. And then there's other boards like an advisory board.
Mhm.
Maybe you're over on a side council advising a larger board on a certain topic or subject, and so that's more of in a corporation. You know, a large corporation has a large board and maybe a mini set of advisory boards. But you know, all of them have to operate in the same way as being fiduciary, really responsible, and completing the mission.
Well, and what you just lined out also now gives people an idea of, again, looking at their time commitment. Because, again, as you said, being an actual board member, you're really doing a lot more of the work. Maybe it's more a governance or advisory board role that you'd rather play in the, because of your commitments elsewhere. So there's
Right,
all different types of variations where you can offer and volunteer from.
right.
Now, giving and serving on a board has so many rewards, both personally and professionally, but it can come with some challenges. What hurdles or challenges may someone face when they're serving on a board, or maybe even you personally have faced?
I think it's time commitment. I think when you get involved, you need to understand exactly what you're how much you're going to get, how much you're going to get involved. You know, I'm kind of one of these yes people, and I had to learn how to say no. And I like big ideas. I'm like, I'll do that, no, I'll do that. So, no, no, you got to like slow down and do what you can do, and because you don't want to get burned out. And so we've seen this a lot, especially with people who've been on boards for a long time. They kind of just get inactive, complacent, don't show up. And then you're like, we don't need those kinds of people on our boards. Are you burnt out? Like, have a conversation. If you're burnt out, then move on or move off for a couple of years and come back. Also, there's, depending on the size of the board, there could be personality conflicts, right? And management styles don't always mesh, from one board member. One might be super strong and one might not be, and one's getting mowed over. And, that there's things to learn. And so my advice is, to keep cool and keep it professional. So, there's no reason to have heated discussions. And besides, there's rules of the Rogers rules of boards. One might be super strong and one might not be, and one's getting hello. Oh, so but then challenges are also you got to stay on course.
Yep.
Sometimes opportunities come to an organization, say like for example, the Architecture Foundation. People are always asking us to do a tour of downtown, tour of this, tour of that. And we just didn't have enough bandwidth. We would try our hardest to put together these tours, and we would just lose money, spend too much time, didn't market it properly, didn't organize it properly. So it's like stay focused and stay on course and don't get distracted. It's easy to get distracted when there are fun projects to follow up with.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem, right? So any of those opportunities, you have to kind of look at it kind of holistically. Do you have the financial background? Do you have financial like money to put this event on, whatever it is, or the staff? Do you have staff or bandwidth, like I said, that you complete that project or event successfully within the mission of the organization? So it's kind of you have to look at the whole thing. Is it a go or a no go? Could be done next year. Could somebody else take that on? You have to look at it because you're basically running a mini business.
Yeah, exactly.
A mini or big business. You're definitely running a business of some sort.
Yeah, that's so true. And some of those challenges you shared, I have been, I have experienced some of those too, where, it could be a group of people who just don't know, like to lead instead of try to like delegate, we all work together. So
Yeah.
that was interesting. And yeah, but there are great organizations. You just find the right one, as you're saying, that aligns with you and see how it works. And going back and as we end this conversation, I just want to bring it back to, who you are and what you've done and just wanting to thank you for your insight. Did you have any final words or last thoughts to share with our audience today?
Well, there are so many opportunities. Like I said, it doesn't have to really be a board of directors. It could be your local community group, your local let's plant trees on Saturday group, let's clean up the beach group. It's like being involved and trying to make a difference is can be small and it could be completely outside your bailiwick. But I think if everybody chose one thing to do that would somehow help, whether it be feeding children and seniors or beach cleanup or whatever, it would be an amazing world. And there's a lot of amazing people out there doing amazing things, and following their footsteps in leadership is always kind of enlightening for young people. But I highly encourage everybody to do one thing. You know, maybe it's this Saturday cleanup of the park. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that advice. And, we did show a couple of your contacts where people can connect with you. But if they did want to learn more, is there any other areas you'd like them to connect with you at?
Well, they can just email me if they want to. So Margit at fourdesigns.com, or hit me up on LinkedIn or Facebook. Um, just you can find me through the website as well. fourdesigns.com. There's a contact us page there too. You can always call on the phone, old fashioned way. Ring me up, extension 102. It's not that hard.
Well, again, thank you so much for your time. And everyone, we have her LinkedIn directly on the screen right now. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to go back to your Facebook. This is your Facebook business page.
Correct.
It'll be under Architectural Concepts Inc. on Facebook. And don't forget to give them a follow on Instagram as well. I see your team is social. You guys are active on your social as well. So you guys can see what they are up to on Instagram. And with that being said, thank you again so much for your time today. I really enjoyed this conversation. You also have another upcoming interview with another cannabis podcast, I hear.
I do.
Yes. That is, do you know what day is that? Where everybody
That's on this Thursday at 11 a.m. on Instagram, and it's with the Cannaboss.
Yes, with Ishka, the Cannaboss. You are all
yeah.
That'll be so much.
I got doubled up. Well, I got tripled up this week too. And tomorrow, our social equity group, the Council for Equity Advocates, is having a showing of The Grass is Greener, and we're going to do it in two parts with first hour, and then do a group discussion about it, and then the second hour we'll do a second night movie night. So I'm looking forward to that, because I don't know if everybody's seen that movie. It's on Netflix. But it's a definite watch, and it's a definite eye opener. It goes way back in history. It goes way back to the 30s and 40s and 50s. So it's not just the 1990s and the war on drugs. It started a long time ago, and so I think it's very important for people to be aware. And I think it's a great movie to watch.
That's awesome. So also, if they want to go check it out, they could go see this. This is going to be in San Diego?
Yeah, it's going to be a Cafe X. It's free. And it starts at 5:45 with a little social hour, and then we'll start the movie at 6:30 to 7:30, and then we'll get out at 8 o'clock.
Awesome. Well, for those that are interested or in Southern California, want to check it out, be sure to connect with them on Instagram to learn more. Or if you all know where Cafe X is, show up and enjoy the free event.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, Margit.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to staying connected and seeing you maybe at one of our upcoming San Diego Bump Brunch socials.
Well, I will be there. Yeah, I think it's the 25th of January. I'll be there.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. And thank you all for joining us and tuning in as we all dived into this wonderful conversation around the importance of serving on boards. Now, before we go, I just wanted to end with this. It's a privilege to serve on a board. Serving on a board gives you the opportunity to really make a difference, as the decisions you can make such an impact, not just on the organization, but individuals as well, families, and even entire communities. So you can become a key contributor for the overall directions and strategy, which in turn determine the success of an organization. So take that leap, find the right board that resonates and speaks to your heart. Shout out again to this week's sponsor, Event High, for empowering and supporting the Blunt Brunch mission. If you are an event organizer in cannabis, Event High is your go-to spot to easily publish, promote, and sell tickets compliantly for your cannabis-related events. Visit eventhigh.io to learn more. And thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your day. Join us next week when Parisa is going to be diving into the importance of serving on boards with Kayla Strong from Curaleaf. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.